Good morning. This past Sunday, we did not worship at the building, the Unit Church of Christ, because we are down at the beach in Miramar, Florida. There's a Church of Christ building about 5 blocks from our condo here. But we did not go there for worship Sunday either. We stayed here in the condo and had our own worship service. Kitty and Tony and Brent and myself, 4 of us stayed here, had our own worship service like we've done in years past, had our own communion supplies. The difference this year was that we were able to tune in live to the worship service that was going on in Nashville. We got to be with our brothers and sisters in Nashville via video. And we got to see some of them. We saw Johnny. We saw Ronnie Mitchell, we saw Adam Toon, we saw Jeremy Johnson, we saw John Green. And you know, before church started, because the way the microphones were turned on, we got to hear everybody in our congregation talking and having a fellowship together and could just visualize the body that was there. When then Ronnie was leading singing, he led songs that we all know from heart. So we didn't have to have books, and we could sing along. And as I was singing along with that video Sunday morning, I realized that, 20 years ago, people would have really criticized what we were doing that Sunday. I'm old enough to have been through a number of issues in the church, some of which divided some congregations, that today are absolutely nothing. 1971, when I went to David Lipscomb University, David Lipscomb College back then, women were not allowed to wear slacks to class. While we were there, that changed. I'd like to say I was responsible for that, but that would be a lie. But in 1971, the girls had to wear dresses to class because it wasn't acceptable for women to do that. Several years before that, that was an issue in almost every congregation in this country. That's stupid today. We don't even pay any mind to it. But back then it was a big issue. And it was a major issue. And many of you remember that issue. Well, as I was singing this Sunday morning, I thought, this could have been a big issue 20 years ago. I want to read to you a section in the book of Galatians chapter 5. It talks about being free in Christ. Back then, they had a battle going on over circumcision and not circumcision, and whether new Christians had to be circumcised to be good Christians, to be acceptable Christians. That was a major issue. Just like major issues are today, the people on either side of that really believed that they were right and that they had scriptural basis to that. Circumcision was part of the law. Well, listen to what Paul says. I'm going to begin in verse 2. Mark my words. I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourself be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. Again, I declare to every man who lets himself be circumcised that he is obligated to obey the whole law. You who are trying to be justified by the law have alienated yourself from Christ. You have fallen away from grace. But by faith, we eagerly await through the Spirit the righteousness for which we hope. For in Christ Jesus, neither circumcision or uncircumcision has any value. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. I want to jump to verse 13 now. I hate to skip verses, but for time's sake I will. You, my brothers, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love. The entire law is summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. Be safe. Stay well out there.